Welcome to Geeks Corner. I'm Mr. Daps.
I'm Katie.
Certain groups of Ethiopian baboons have begun to do something that only humans have ever done before. Domesticate wolves.
Really?
There are certain baboons that have puppies.
Wow, that's fascinating. Where could they tell us that was fascinating?
They should go to Twitter and use the hashtag Geeks Corner. Hashtag Geeks Corner for all your baboon facts. Also, the stuff we're talking about tonight.
Baboon facts not to be confused with Batuan facts.
Ugh.
Oh, that was... No, no one likes it. Okay, sorry. I mean, you guys did, but...
We'll see what they said online.
To the internet!
To the internet. Let's go.
I like that all of our internets, while in different directions, are generally up. Like, that's good. That's
Yes, or it's just our exclamation.
Our what?
The words are very hard for me, and honestly, I don't feel...
I just got through a fact about Ethiopian baboon. I'm Cameron, by the way.
It's Cameron.
And
he knows about
I
puppies.
did those words all good and stuff.
All good and stuff.
Exclamation.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Frozen had its first official trailer, not the teaser trailer, hit the internet and TV and everywhere today, and we watched it, and it gave a lot of clues into what we're going to be seeing when Frozen 2 comes out later this year. First off, what did you think of it? Then we'll get into dissecting it just a little bit.
It's gorgeous.
Now you're doing exactly what they need to, which is expanding the lore.
It's true. But, yes, it's very pretty.
So what did you think of it, though?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's going to be a great film, and it's not going to bore us by doing Frozen again.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
It's definitely going a different direction, and that direction is north, as we found out in the trailer. Am I wrong?
No, you're
You're
not.
not. I just like that phrasing. It was good.
And Cameron in particular, so Cameron has a somewhat Norse knowledge background.
Somewhat.
Is that a good way to put it?
It's in my genes.
It's in your genes. And
That
I
sucks.
have a family member from Norway, so I was sent stuff from Scandinavia and had no clue what it was growing up. They're like, here, have these things. And so I had some familiarity with what we were seeing, but didn't really have knowledge. And Cameron was geeking out during the trailer. So Cameron, why were you geeking out?
Because this is basically the MCU crossover we've all been waiting for. That's right. Thor should probably show up at some point.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing if he's in the background or something, or an actual...
I could see him doing something.
I could too.
So they referenced
Or
a
Odin or
lot of
something.
elements of Scandinavian lore, much more specific.
Oh, so Laura's going to be in it too, huh? Star Trek reference.
Data's daughter?
Brother.
What?
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
What?
He brought it up. It's not my fault.
Keep going.
Any
Mr.
biscuits.
Daps!
She's in the middle of a Star Wars watch.
Really?
Star-
Star Wars, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Any biscuits. Scandinavian lore. In the trailer, we saw a lot of specific references to like big things from the Poetic Edda, which is like the containing knowledge for a lot of the pantheon of Scandinavian lore. The biggest thing was the standing stones. There's a point towards the end of the trailer that Elsa clears out some fog
Foggy
stuff.
yeah.
And it looks to be standing stones, which is a really, really big part of any Scandi lore story, especially in Norway. If you ever played Skyrim, they're in there as well. It's kind of an anchor point for most of the stories you hear and that sort of thing. So I'm predicting much Scandi.
So where do you think this story is going to go?
I'm betting...
You cannot say north.
No, that's a good joke. That's already been done.
Thank you.
I'm betting she is going to be one of the gods, or at least referenced as one of the gods.
Okay.
The gods are very similar to Greek gods in the Norse canon in that they're very much like people. They just have more infinite lifespans and a lot more powers. So I'm betting it's kind of a Hercules situation.
So do you think she's not coming back?
I don't know if they'll end it that way. I bet she might become a liaison to the humans. Or
So
something.
she's going back and forth?
Yeah.
But she's not ruling Arendelle anymore. And
No, I think it's
Anna
going to go to Anna. Yeah.
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts?
I'm from Ireland. I don't know these things.
Hey, fun story. That means, based on rating, you're Norse as well.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, but I didn't have family sending me things, and I'm not very active in the lore. So I just went...
There's probably a troll in here somewhere from
Yeah, what's up?
Norway.
How you doing?
But when I watched the trailer, I just went, wow, pretty. I was also half asleep, so I was just like, wow, those are glass things. And then when she did like this or thing, and like there was diamonds in the sky everywhere. I was like, wow, Elsa's magic.
Where's Lucy?
Where is Lucy? She should be in the sky.
With the diamonds. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very excited to see where this goes, and I really love that they referenced the Enchanted Lands because we get to see more of that. So, very excited.
The other question that pops into my head as we're speaking, does this mean they're setting up for future sequels as well?
They always are.
They're setting up for the Frozen cinematic universe.
I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of felt like it, and I was like, oh, where is this going to go? And it may not be theatrical releases, but they have this new thing called Disney Plus coming, where I could easily see a mini-series or, I don't know.
The Frozen crossover, whatever, yeah.
That'd be cool. Find out where he came from.
Yeah, you could.
That would
But
be...
he's from the Enchanted Lands. I don't know. He could be.
Aren't they all?
Yeah.
They're all stories in the end.
They're all Scandinavian. Is that what we just learned? Is the Incredibles are all Scandinavian?
Yeah, they could be.
By the transitive property, yes.
We don't know where Munisburg is.
All right, so now having seen this trailer, more excited, less excited about this movie?
More excited.
Way more excited now.
And how well do you think it's going to stack up to other recent Disney animated films?
Well, give me some names. What am I comparing
Easily better than Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Oh, yeah.
I'm already
to?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
that's not even a question.
no-brainer.
absolutely.
Before that was...
Cars 3?
No, that's Pixar,
No, we're
though.
just
That's
going
Pixar, too.
Disney. Moana?
It might be... I'm going to put it a little bit lower than Moana just because I appreciate an original story. I like that they're building on it, but nothing beats good original creativity.
Okay. What else? Big Hero 6?
Ooh.
It'll beat it. I like
think it
Big
will,
Hero
too.
6, but
I also think that it'll commercially.
commercially.
Commercially. I bet commercially it'll beat Moana.
I think so too.
Yeah,
think-
yeah, it'll do that. But
Yeah.
I don't think it'll beat the original, though.
No.
for public saturation, no.
Yeah.
It's not going to be.
But it
as
might
involved in the
actually end up
zeitgeist.
being a better film.
Oh yeah.
I actually think it will be a better film just looking at what we've seen so far.
And I loved Frozen.
Critical reception usually goes down when quality goes up, at
Yeah.
least past a certain point.
That would make sense. So I'm predicting to actually like this one more than the original,
I think so too.
personally, but expect it to not do quite as well as the original. But I think they're still going to have a smash hit.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's going to be fun to be able to watch the two of them side by side once it's finished, because there's definitely some progression in animation techniques. And like, I thought the first one was a pretty film, but looking at what we're seeing already in this trailer, like, it's gorgeous.
Seriously.
And it'll be very interesting to see how much they've changed in the last, what is it? It'll be 4 years.
Yeah, and it's aided a lot just by the color palettes they're playing with.
Was it 2015 for the first one?
It was 2013. I was gonna say
13?
12. I was
Okay,
in
so
high
7
school.
years, huh?
So
Yeah,
Okay.
so 7 years and a spring color palette rather than a winter one. Like,
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where this goes. Other things that are new: Tale of the Lion King came to Disney California Adventure this last weekend, and is making music on the Palisade stage every day, like 5 times a day or something like that.
something like that.
Yeah, it's.
And it's
I can't
a
imagine
labor-intensive
yesterday
That
and
is
today
brutal.
because it was hot.
And that show's not easy. That show is
I
very
think it's 5 shows a day,
choreograph intensive and hard.
especially those dancers.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
they're working it.
praise
So
be the performers. My goodness, I didn't know it was 5 times a day. That's
this
nuts.
is how many versions of Lion King we've seen now? Is this the 3rd?
in the park
Technically.
or in general.
In general, because
So
we have
we've
the
got
movie.
that movie. We've
We'll
got
skip the sequels.
Broadway.
Broadway.
We got this.
Oh
Festival
wait,
of the
we
Lion
got
King?
Festival of Lion King
How
over in Florida.
dare
Yeah,
you
Festival
forget
of
about
Lion King
Festival
in the
of Lion
round
King.
theater in the round, friends.
Yeah, which this
How-
has some elements that I feel were lifted from that in Broadway, and
Yes.
so this is the 4th. Is that what we're gonna go with?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What did you think of this?
I love it. I also love Festival of Lion King. I think The Lion King is such a fun show to bring to parks. And I love the dancers. I love the singers. I love the storytelling aspect of it. The fact that it's like a storytelling troupe. I think it's just super interesting, and I love the way they bring. We were talking about how they make it into that it's a tale that's been passed down for generations type thing, and it's just very, very fun to see come to life on the stage.
And this goes back to the Frozen thing. Building on lore is a great place to start any storytelling endeavor. Lion King has survived as well as it does Not just because it's a great story, but it's also a story that has existed for a very long time. In fact, I gave a book to Mr. Dapps not too long ago called which one was it? It's Joseph Campbell's book.
It's the
He has a couple, but
it's the one about the
it's the story. It's the archetypes of story.
yeah, but it's how I'm totally spacing what it is. It's what Star Wars all is built around.
Yeah. The hero's journey.
Hero's Journey.
Hero's journey. Woo! So
We both knew what it was. I can even look at I know where it is. Yeah.
Joseph Campbell talked at length. He was an author and theologian about the basic elements of what makes a good cultural story that a culture can build upon, and those same rules apply to ancient African tales as they do to Star Wars, which is one of the examples he uses pretty often. When you build on those archetypes, and it's very easy to do that when you're building on ancient lores of a culture like Africa, it becomes timeless, and you can mess with it as much as you want. People will still watch it because
And they really
it's
tap
core.
into it in this version of the show, which I thought was a lot of fun. I also really liked how they combined Just Can't Wait to Be King with Be Prepared.
That's so fun.
And it was a really interesting mashup that I don't know that I would have immediately thought of, but
It's a good way to consolidate some time too.
yeah, it did.
That's just, and this part of the show happens.
There you go.
I don't know, 24 minutes on a day like today and yesterday,
No.
5 times a day.
brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they did a really nice job. It's unique enough. It moves quickly enough that it keeps people's attention. It's got a little bit of audience participation for the kids. It'll be interesting to see how long it sticks around because it's a limited run, they say. And
Yeah.
I would
So
like
they
to see
say.
more things like this. Yeah, I don't know. That spot's a hard spot because every time there's a festival,
I bet it's
that
a
becomes an
repeated summer run.
I'd be okay with
Yeah.
that.
That'd be
cool.
fun. Yeah.
Or find another place for it. I don't know where else that would be, but
Somewhere.
where would that be?
Oh.
Mm.
I don't know.
I mean,
On top of
maybe a consolidated version at the pier? No, not
Yeah,
the,
it's too
outside the
tight.
yeah.
just put it on the roof of the Jungle Cruise. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
You'll be.
See, I was going to
honestly-
say
Yeah.
the plateau in Cars Land. You could just do it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
What's the most obscure place? Toontown. Toontown would be great.
No, Splash Mountain. Whole ride.
Oh, there you go. Yes, that would be fantastic. I really don't know where else
Da,
you
da,
could
da,
put
da,
it.
da, 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 da.
Yeah.
That would
All
hurt.
right.
I think it would work.
Well, let's go back to Batu, where things continue to develop there. As
Meanwhile,
the story,
on Batu.
the story continues to evolve and grow. And we posted last week a language guide. Have you guys had a chance to look at it yet? If
Yes.
not, you can pull out your phones and
You
take a
don't
look.
speak fluent Arabic yet?
No, we're talking about Batu
to
now.
speak
That's one of the languages on Batu.
Oh, it's really easy. You just make 3 squiggly lines every time you say a letter.
Anyway, there's a distinct language that you will discover, or verbiage, I guess, is what you hear when you're on Batu. And we've got a guide up on DAPS that you can take a look at. But really quickly, what do you think about this form of storytelling, for one? And then two, do you have a favorite phrase from our good friends at Black Spire Outpost?
Yeah, till we perspire. That's my favorite.
Sure. So, till the spire.
Yeah, or
Farewell.
that, or until the moon crashes down into the planet.
Okay, good.
Oh wait, no,
good.
that was Zelda. No, so sorry.
How many moons does Batu have?
Well, I mean, that's really a question you don't ask a person.
There's 2. Do you know how many
There's
sons?
but 2.
Sons?
Yeah.
Well, there was one. His name was Luke, and then there was a daughter, Leia.
3.
Do you know what that would do to the polar orbit of that planet?
Yeah.
Makes it very hot on a Sunday afternoon.
They're-
That's what it would do.
Science side of the internet, find out the likelihood of a tri-cluster of stars. I don't even know if that's a thing. I know there could be a binary star system. I know this is sci-fi, but I want to know how that would work. Like,
But see, here's the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek.
logic?
Star Trek is Star Wars for nerds. That's what the difference is.
And that is true.
That's not a quote from me. That's a quote from someone else. If you look at Twitter, you'll find it. Adventures at Starbucks.
It is Adventures at Starbucks.
Yes.
But it's that's an interesting thing. Do you have a favorite? What do you think about this from a storytelling perspective? Since
I
we
think
talked
it-
about suns and moons.
Yeah, that was weird. I think it re-immerses you every time you talk to any citizen.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it ends with something different that kind of throws you off and keeps you on your toes.
Or begins.
Yeah, so I think that it's
I'm not used to hearing bright suns yet.
No, at all. So I think it's a very fun thing that way.
Mm-hmm.
I love Good Run. I think that's fun. I also love saying "May the Spires keep you." I feel very secretive when I say that. I'm like, "May the Spires keep you." Like, it's like a little mystery.
I really like when the citizens walk up and just punch you right in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
You had that.
My
happen, right?
favorite was somebody walked up to a citizen on Sunday and was like, "Hey, where do I get a lightsaber?" And the guy was like, "What's a lightsaber?"
And
Good
they
choice.
said, "Okay," and walked away.
It was very amusing.
I think one of my favorite things was there was a barrier of citizens kind of blocking off Sabi's workshop because they had already hit their capacity for the line for that reservation period. And guests were walking up going, "What is this? What is this here?" And they were like, "It's just a workshop with a bunch of scrap metal. I don't get why people like it." And guests were like, "That's weird," and walking away. It was so
good.
funny.
Let me tell you a secret about theater people. If you lie with flair, people believe you.
Mm-hmm.
Just say things very confidently. You can get away with anything.
But I think it's one of the most fun parts of Batuu is watching these stories develop. And there's the other end of it when we were over in the Resistance encampment, and some gentlemen came up and were talking to you and our good friend Kristen. And you were talking about, I think we should tell this story. I think it's very funny. In fact, I think you should tell it.
Can I tell the story? This is a great story.
You lived it.
So we were talking, they came up to us, they decided to ask us some questions about where we were from because they wanted to learn about the planets that we had come from. And so we said that we were from a distant planet, star system, I think is what Kristen called it.
Yarth.
L.A. And he said, "Well, what is L.A.? What is that? What do you do there? And why do people like LA? That doesn't make any sense."
I have no idea.
Yeah, and that was my answer. 100% my answer is I couldn't tell you. And he was confused. But Kristen tries to start explaining, and she's like, "Well, there are these things that people become famous." And he's like, "Well, how do they become famous?" And she was trying to stay in the realm of how they speak on Batuu. She was like, "There's image scans. There's very long form image scans, and there's these people that are in these long image scans." He's sitting there and he's like, "I think on Batuu we just call them movies."
Yeah. A choice
It was a good choice.
made, and that is the correct one.
It was very amusing.
And it was the best thing ever. So, yes, it was very good.
So I think the language just adds to the storytelling that's happening there, and I hope that the language is added to as time goes on and the story progresses. I am very curious to see what happens after the next movie comes out, and if the story moves along chronologically with it, or what happens in that regard.
That'll be fun.
Both Bob Chapek and Trowbridge have said that the whole thing will evolve as they move forward, and I think that's really cool.
I'm really hoping that there are elements already in place that have absolutely no meaning right now, but will have substantial meaning after the film. I hope they thought of that ahead of time.
I think there is, just because there's one phrase that I'm not going to say right now that I think is connected to the next movie, and just from where things are at, and I think it's either giving foreshadowing or whatever. But
yeah, and Emperor Palpatine just wandering around was a big.
That was a good choice too, actually. Other than it is breaking the whole like robes rule thing.
Good.
It is fun to see. It is fun to see Kylo Ren and the Stormtroopers.
That's my favorite band.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren and Stormtrooper
Constantly try to arrest Katie.
That was
brilliant.
I was having a bad day on Sunday.
Too conspicuous.
Okay, well, first of all, don't go into the land dressed as Kylo Ren's dad. Let me put that out there.
Yep.
Yeah, Stormtroopers don't like it either.
But that's a perfect segue, because we're going to talk about bounding on Batuu next,
Segue.
and how to dress and
Or
not to
pod
dress while you're on Batuu.
Now that's
and
pod
the
racing.
Disneyland Resort, actually the Disney Parks blog, put out a guide, I guess you could say, this week for how to dress and how not to dress.
Yes.
And basically, to sum it all up, is if you're dressed in a full head-to-toe costume with masks and robes, you
Don't be a
probably
Praetorian
shouldn't do
Guard.
that.
Yes.
However, if you dress in a not quite costume, but almost costume that looks like a costume but doesn't have robes and doesn't have a mask, you're probably okay. As long as you look like a citizen of Batuu and not a character that's in the Star Wars universe. Am I close? Am I close?
Kind of.
Yeah? Is that close?
The thing that is confusing, though, is on the dues, they do have a couple that is dressed in what looks to be the Jedi tunic.
Yeah,
which
it kind of does.
I was told is a no.
Well, and the guy on the right is like a colored Jedi tunic.
But I think that
maroon
because
and
that's
blue.
a color Jedi tunic that no one's going to get confused.
Okay.
But because, I don't know.
So you have to be
I don't
off-brand Luke Skywalker, is what I'm
Yes.
hearing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. But, I mean...
I think that this kind
Yeah, no,
of
I've seen it.
got
but
more confusing.
yeah, so to the best of my knowledge, the logic is if you can buy the individual pieces at a real store and combine them in such a way to make them
I think that's a good
appear as they're
description.
put together. So really what you need is not a costumer, you need a stylist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although I think if you have a good enough costumer that can make pieces look as though they were correctly made,
Yes.
you shouldn't have a problem.
Well, and I think the bigger... what would have been... I mean, it probably would have caused more confusion, but the main point they're trying to make is you want to reference whatever character that you're trying to emulate,
Mace Windu.
but not replicate. And there's a difference between replicating and referencing.
We learned that in the Clone Wars.
And yes, that's very, very true. And actually, that came up again in Force Awakens.
And
But
again and again.
it's always there. But I think if you're referencing and being referential to styles, that's
Change
great.
that.
And if you're replicating them, not so great
Boba Fett.
I think the other
from a
thing
technicality standpoint.
is if you look in the mirror and think you look a little too much like a character, it might be time to
It's time to change
change.
your ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that
If you want
if
to make the
you
world a better place.
if you're
you
at
have to make
all
yourself change.
if you're at all uncertain
Thanks,
looking in
Michael.
the mirror, oh gosh, if you're at all uncertain looking at your outfit and going, would security stop me? Maybe just pick a different outfit. Maybe.
I think that's wise.
I think that that's a very fair rule of thumb.
So
It's
I
just-
can't wear my Sarlacc cosplay.
No. Which brings us to the Sarlacc.
I would love to see that, though. That
It's mostly just a kiddie pool full of sand that I'm wearing around my waist.
And then do you just do that? Can we talk about the Sarlaccs?
we will just a second, but let's drive this point home. It's really the difference between bounding and Halloween.
Yes.
If you would wear it to a Halloween party,
Yes.
not a good idea.
Maybe not.
If you would wear it to a
Supermarket.
I've seen weird things at the supermarket.
I've seen
What
really,
supermarkets are you going to?
the really weird ones.
The one all over the place, but
He almost triangulated the location.
I know. But yeah. Anyway, don't wear a costume. If it can be construed as a costume, it's like nobody's going around trying to be the costume police. It's literally trying to uphold their guest experience that
Here's
they
a
want
good
for
rule.
their
Here's a good ground
place.
rule. In Batuu, there is food service restaurants.
Yeah.
And as we all know, you never eat in costume. Don't
That's
wear a
true.
costume.
You also don't go into the house in costume. So,
Dude, I mean, all of these check out.
yeah, this honestly checks out.
Checks out.
It's an old meme, so but it checks out.
All right. So one other cool thing that we found on Sunday at Galaxy's Edge was,
Baby Sarlacc! We finally found it.
and from that we had to then ask the question of what's so bad about a Sarlacc, and why does it take you so long to die
New Broadway
when
smash.
you have. That would be a good one.
No, the
we
worst.
should write that.
The worst thing about
No,
this
we should.
It
conversation.
could be our Christmas episode.
What's
so bad about a Sarlacc? Put that thing back where it came from.
Oh, so help me.
Yes, that's exactly it. So, Cameron, please tell us what's so bad about a Sarlacc.
Well,
This
there,
is a non-canon response, by the way. That
for the
hope-
most part,
Disney eliminated
I don't know
this
if
from
this
canon.
is considered part of the extended lore anymore or not. So Sarlaccs are they
Hungry.
spawn Like, so they kind of like spawn their children out in space. So I want to know what a baby Sarlacc is, because they spawn as like these little things. They go land on a desolate planet, and then they kind of absorb.
So
into
they can
the sand.
fly in space too.
Well, they kind of, it's almost like pollen. Like they don't really, they just kind of go until they hit something.
Just go.
Here's the weird thing though. Sarlaccs are kind of sentient. That's not something that's ever really talked about. When they kill something, it's more like a Venus flytrap in that they catch it in their system. And they're able to keep it alive for a very, very long time by very, very slowly digesting it, but also keeping the vital stuff going. But then they also kind of absorb the intelligence of the creature through RNA. And in fact, in some of the extended lore, a couple of Jedis have actually had conversations with Sarlaccs, the older ones that have absorbed enough people to have their collective consciousness inside of them.
That's cool.
So Sarlaccs are kind of like big, ugly Borg for a Star Trek comparison.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was very good.
And now you know.
The more you know. That was fantastic.
That was me cutting the star.
Don't dress like a Sarlacc.
Don't dress like a Sarlacc.
It is cool. There's a video up on the YouTube. You can see it, and you can see what a little Sarlacc looks like.
Hello, bye.
Would a Sarlacc costume like be a bunch of hula hoops with some like felt over it? Like, how would you do?
I don't actually know. That's an interesting question.
Maddie
but
knows.
Maddie knows. She's good at the costume.
We'll talk
thing.
to her. She's a professional costumer. Just gonna let this be in silence, I guess, while we made that joke.
I was serious. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm very serious.
Moving on to other looks beyond Disney bounding, we will talk instead about something that's coming to Disney Plus. While they make their faces, we're going to talk about Chip and Dale.
Chip and Dale.
Not the Rescue Rangers. These ones live in New York, or the big city. I'm assuming it means New York, but I don't know.
With
The
their two
chipmunks.
The likeness
tough
of New York.
detectives in the NYPD solving the crimes that humans can't take.
No, that's the movie. I think there's a live-action Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie being made, and this is Chip and Dale animated shorts. They're going to be 7 minutes long. There are 39 of them in development.
It's crazy.
By a French studio that's partnered with the London version of Disney, or Disney's London office of animation, something like that. And
But we already have a French Chip.
it's going to be. That is true. Nonverbal classic comedy. What do you think, though, of the new look?
I think it is easily producible.
I think it's going to sell a lot of plush.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like that, not just in the production side for marketing, but I think it is intentionally designed for them to be able to pump these things out. And I don't have a problem with that, because that same logic is how we got Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes. They choose a simple formula, easily recognizable shapes, so they can do amazing comedy without having a lot of dialogue recording. You just kind of go. And I'm okay with that.
I also think that their design fits into the new design of the Mickey Mouse shorts. So I think that it kind of fits
Kind of to the next level.
Yeah, but I think that visually it fits in with that group. So they can kind of put all of that merchandise in the same place.
I find it a little bit more appealing.
I agree.
It's kind of a mix between Mickey Mouse, but with the warmth of DuckTales.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be fun. 39 of them? Enough?
That's a lot.
Too many? Little? That's more than their original run, I think. I know they had 18 with Donald.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple with Pluto and a couple with Mickey.
It's going to be the same 5 jokes, but that's okay. Like, that is not a problem. When you're doing almost vaudevillian style for these animations, which is what the old ones were, you can do the same thing over and over, and as long as it's clever, it's fine. Go for it.
Is there any specific thing you want to see happen during this?
I really want to see him ride pigeons.
Okay.
New York pigeons, though, they're different.
And also, do you want to
They
see
are.
any crossovers?
Yes.
Like, who do you want to see entering their world?
Mace Windu.
Okay. That was good.
Mace Windu.
I was like, what's the most obscure thing I can pull? And all I can think about was Mace
Except
Windu.
you already brought him
Yeah,
up
that's
earlier
why.
tonight, so he's
So-
not that
Yeah.
obscure.
I believe that's a callback.
I just like to imagine
Oh,
that they
cool.
they're in a dark tunnel and they're like kind of and then Mace
Purple
Windu's purple
lightsaber,
lightsaber.
Ending on this last Star Wars question, I can't say his name, but the new actor of Chewbacca,
Okay.
Yes, can't say it either.
he made a comment today on Twitter that if you saw any videos from Disney of Chewbacca with the Millennium Falcon and he didn't say specifically when, but in the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, he was a part of that. And so now I'm wondering if he was actually the only member of the new cast to be in the opening night festivities.
I would imagine.
Probably.
Which
Yeah.
just makes it that much cooler.
It's also kind of terrifying.
Yeah, but awesome. Anyway,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, Abrams was there, right?
not on the stage.
No. You know who was there that was definitely in the movies? El Presidente. The president of the Walt Disney Company. You don't think he's in Star Wars? I bet you he's a stormtrooper. Wouldn't you?
I hadn't even considered it.
He.
I would do it if I were in his role.
Yeah, right? Like you would.
I mean, James Bond was a stormtrooper.
Yeah, like, but you would though, right?
Okay, so let us know what you think in the comments. Let us
That's
know
funny.
on Twitter. And Cameron, get us out of here.
You should go to thegeekscorner.com. Hey, you're there. Good to see you. You
Let's
should
go.
also check out all the rest of our footage because we have hours and hours and hours of content.
Just go to dapsmagic.com, check out all the Disney and geek news as it happens, read our opinions, subscribe to our mailing list, and find our Patreon.
And make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're trying to get videos up almost every day. We're not always successful, but we're doing our best. And always let us know what you think. Share, like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. And we hope you have a fantastic week, and it cools down also. But that's all the time we have for you this week. So we'll see you around the corner.
Bye!
You scared me.